This is Hannibal here with none other than WWE Hall of Famer Don the Rock Muraco, all the way from Hawaii. He had tsunami in his area last night, but apparently it was mild, nothing affecting his home too much. But you were definitely known, Mr. Morocco, for your feuds with Hulk Hogan, drawing some legendary houses. The record in Montreal, but you feuded with him all over the world. What did you think about him passing away last week?
Like I said earlier, we spoke. So many other guys have gone ahead of me. From Jack Briscoe to Dusty to Piper. It's just it's expected. With age comes, but it's a kind of an awakening. Just almost a global recognizing of his passing was.
Are you surprised at all the publicity that his passing got all around the world?
No, I don't think so. I think he earned it. He worked for it. He did. When he came, I was like transitioned to two parts of the business, and old style old timers, and then when he came on the scene with Vince, and that it had been the same formula, with one hero and defending against several adversaries or whatever, and the hero eventually, going down. But when he was taking, they took it to such a enormous scale when they went, actually international. But it was a hell of a load to carry, and he did a hell of a job.
You always got along with him behind the scenes, didn't you?
Pretty much. I didn't have any, I wasn't one of his boys. He had some of the guys from Tampa and stuff were, real close to him, or were real, Brian Blair, Dobbs, Valentine, I think, all those guys that lived around there. And he was, that's his hood, So those are all those guys. He's been around all, his whole life. So, what was his life? So, I guess, but yeah, he never, he was one of the boys, but he never really, he didn't get down with everybody. I mean, he was selective. He was kind of like the first guy to come through, or not the first guy, but to really pull it off of taking the business in a more Hollywood movie star actor type ways, and it worked for him, and it changed a lot of people.
Did you watch any of his movies?
I looked at it.
Yeah.
I don't think that was, I was just glad to serve.
Were you in? Weren't you in one of the A teams or something with him at one point, or one of those minor movies with him? Or am I imagining that?
No. We did we're all in that video.
Oh, the dancing Land of a Thousand Dances.
No, the one after that, the second album.
Oh, if you only knew what I'm gonna. Oh, Pile Driver, the video, yes, the music video. You're right.
Me, that was the crew: Billy Jack, Billy Graham, Hulk, of course, and I'm thinking one more guy.
Yeah, Honky Tonk Man and Jimmy Hart were the heels in that. And Coco Beware, of course, he was singing it.
Oh yeah, I used to remember doing all the driving around San Francisco, but I really remember his catering, raspberries, blueberries.
Yeah.
That was back in the 80s.
Were you
But yeah, Hulk Hogan, man, he looked a lot big prize behind.
were you surprised that him and Beefcake ended up breaking up as friends?
Women, huh?
Yeah.
Listen, women get in the way. Something that I don't know what happened. Yeah, anytime you lose some guys being divorced, what was it? 40, 50 years. You see him Judge Judy all the time. Especially when you move to different cities, different parts of the country.
Was there any was there any match against his that stands out to you? I know you had that cage match. That was a big one at Madison Square Garden.
Well, I think one tag, I think with him and Snuka in Boston. For some reason, the way the crowd, just went crazy, like it was a double. So Snuka was still on the top. Snuka was still rolling hot, and the Hulk could just kind of hit the scene, and they kind of like double banged the whole building. Really, I mean, it was deafening, and then it went up, went up again. It was pretty cool. There were a lot, working with Hulk was easy. You always have you always had a comeback there. People were just waiting to come back. I mean, you don't have to, as a heel, you have to go, you'd have to go out there and get your heat, or work for it anyway. The guys who were fortunate to have, a TV angle coming off of it with him were guaranteed, guaranteed good business. A lot of guys just, or some guys, I was one, but I had a lot of TV exposure in other aspects, but just to come and hold off of your regular hot interviews, your interview for New York, or your interview for LA, or your interview for Tennessee, or whatever, you're just to build it off of the 4 or 5 interviews, or 3 to 5 interviews, was really all the impotence that all these guys had, because you're working with 2, 3 heels a time, or maybe more, at a single time in different different towns. So there were feature heels, but there were other heels that could step in, and if you're working with Hulk, you still draw house. So it was the territory was like that before. I'm not saying he invented the sell-off, or he invented Bruno and Rocca, and all those guys back when the kids were loaded cards, but back all those guys, business was fabulous before he came into it. But when he just took it to another level. I always compared him to Gorgeous George. You heard Gorgeous?
Yeah, no, I've heard of Gorgeous George. Jerry Jarrett said he was the biggest star since Gorgeous George too.
Yeah, I would think so. I would, if there was a Mount Rushmore, he would be he and Hulk would be up there probably, with all the other great wrestlers that passed through in the times and stuff. Gorgeous George and Hulk. It's a pretty good list.
Someone was asking, did you ever wrestle him in the Boston Garden?
Hulk?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I did. I don't remember if I wrestled him single. I know that tag. I'm sure I got all the big markets. I got a bunch. I got shots. I got 2 or 3 shots with him. So I never, I wasn't featured on TV, and usually probably wasn't just a I was just getting them hot for somebody else. Get them, put some steam on them. But I never had that. The time was involved when Bundy splashed him.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 2, I think. But that was the only time I was ever on TV with him. So that's okay. Which is not complaining. I had lots of time with in the territory before that, before he entered us. Snooker and with Pedro and Bob. So, I'm missing, but, it would have been great. It would have been great to have an angle like Paul did. Come off of that. Do those, keep those Toronto shows and those other shows, because they were just starting. That was just the beginning of it. 70, 90,000 crowds. What was Toronto? What was Toronto?
Toronto was almost 70,000.
Yeah.
It was the record at that time.
Yeah, so that was exceptional for anything, even for sellout. For Garden or Hartford, any year, Maple Leaf Gardens, or Montreal Forum, or anything. That Toronto, that kind of show was, just out of sight. And when you're going to go around and work around with them, that you're going to have success too, because you've got all that hours in the bank, all that tape and all that exposure with the public and stuff. So yeah. Was it usually a flat fee to wrestle him? Because I heard one man gang say he always got the same amount, no matter where he wrestled him. It didn't matter what the gate was. Was it the same with you for when you had Hulk matches, or if it was a bigger house, would you get more? Probably not a lot more. Not the Toronto kind of payday that those guys were getting. Damon Pike, we were, different guys. They held you to an average for the year, for like a weekly. You pretty much worked on a weekly. I don't know if they thought consciously realized that, or they just kind of worked out that way. But you kind of worked an average in those days. If you weren't, office, because office is a different story. Like Briscoes and Grahams, and once Hulk came in, worked his way out. All his beefs with Vince, right, with the office, who controls, who has the right to produce this and produce that. Like The Rock just got all those access to the name The Rock. I mean, and soul property and all that stuff. So that's for merchandising and stuff like that. I think that's what the primary hook with Hulk and Vince was. Then Hulk got old like everybody else. And it was hard, but he still could draw. It was hard to be featured, but he still had a place. More like a novelty, but hey, what the hell? Paid.
When was the last time you would have talked to Hulk?
Oh boy, long time.
Probably
after I got out of the business.
Okay.
I think he came over. His daughter, Brooke, the daughter. Well, I never met. So she was. I suppose she was just starting her singing career, and she booked a gig over here a couple nights, and I asked Luck into something else, and he called and invited me down and stuff. I was locked in. I couldn't get away, and so we spoke to her. That was it. I didn't see him. We just talked to him. He was, unless he changed, there was Hulk, I guess before pre WWF, and there was a WWE Hulk, and then there was that Turner, Vince, that other, all the other stuff those guys went through, and the merchandising and marketing, was just out of sight. And that was a big battlefield for all the naming rights and all the all Facebook and iPhones and all that stuff came up, and we just got to keep up. If you're in somebody like Hulk, you make that kind of money, you have the big investments, and then when you lose it, you don't make it. You still got you still got that big, $5 million a month nut or something that you got to come across with to pay, so you gotta, I guess that leads you to cut people's throats, push for jobs, make make sure that you're the man of the production rather than just accepting a job and going and working for a wage. So it's just, who knows if you're in that position.
Yes.
But he was a good vibe. What the Hulk guy knew. The Hulk guy was around. He was always a good, he was never the position to be. He kind of Fez-like, or he was aloof. He was like he was really, it was a different era naturally, but he was like one of the Jack Briscoe, Luke Tez type, but he, on a bigger scale, on a really, on a massive scale with a different, a lot of tiers of fans and people watching him. And people, he started that when, he first got the belt, and it just expanded from there in the movies and all the genres and stuff that were acquainted with him.
Do you remember being on this Search for Tomorrow soap opera with Hulk Hogan?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
That got us all the Fuji Vices. All the Fuji Banditos and Fuji Vices came out of that. I don't know. Piper didn't want to do that. Piper didn't want to go on the soap opera. Really, the Chris just being around. So last minute they took me and Fuji. So we went down there, and it's pretty a cool setup how they do a soap opera. They just film segments here, 20-second, 40-second segments, and they fill it in over a period of a week. And so it was just me and Fuji showed up in that town, and I was wrestling Hulk for the championship in that town, wherever that Search for Tomorrow was located. It was like a Springfield with the Simpsons. They started Simpsons, but it was. And then they started, and then we just had a little back and forth on the like a talk show that a lady host, and then I think they started with Beach Bum. Beach Bum then, and me and Fuji went nuts and tore. They said, "Don't break the TV." They didn't want us to bust the TV, but it's break everything else. So they broke, did some chairs and stuff. That was it.
What was the crowd's energy like when he was at the height of Hulkamaniac when you were in there with him? Was it different than like the energy you'd feel with Snuka?
Whoa, it was always high. I mean, gosh, I was in a lot of high energy matches, a lot of situations. Most of the guys. And then when I was the heel, and a certain amount of heat, that there was a lot of, I had a lot of his was pretty much guaranteed. The most snooker was, some other guys were at that time. But yeah, you know, you can pretty much throw him with anybody, and you'd have that type of, you know, or anybody that's had a TV background or TV hanging. You can just, you know, you throw him on that, and you do business. I don't know when it started going back down. Probably when the Undertaker and those guys started getting hot, Bret Hart.
Yeah, around 92, 93 there.
Ultimate Warrior, yeah. When the Warrior came in, and that, which I was still there. I was just in '88 when the Warrior first came in. But so was, and then he killed about another 5-6 years after that. I remember, you know, TV, the Sheik and Adnan Casey, Boss Man. He had a lot of guys. Guys he was in the movies with, like Zeus.
Yeah.
And he was a hard worker, you know, and a businessman. You know, he must have whined and dined and talked a lot of shit to Mr. T or whoever. You know, he had to deal with Roddy. You know, he had the whole Roddy down in his shoes, probably for the whole thing. You know, so I guess some reason Roddy had a hard on for Mr. T. So he was more or less man in the middle.
You were legitimate friends with Piper, right? It wasn't just a work. You guys were actual buddies, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. I was with Piper a long time. From from Texas when he first came in. Him diving against sharing music with the world. When he first came in Texas, yeah. Texas, California. When I was up at Shires, he was out doing business with Chavo Guerrero and stuff. And then a little while in Charlotte, I was there for a couple months. And then New York. But yeah, we'd always been, even then when we weren't, working close territories, we were friends, you know. We knew each other. Friendly. I'd go by the motel where they lived in Santa Monica. Because I lived in my folks lived in Santa Monica. So I'd go by and see him there. And a couple of the boys at hotel where the guys stay down by the beach there. But yeah, I knew him for a long time.
There's a fan on here that wants to know, how would you compare Hogan's stardom in Japan to Brody's? I know Brody had a longer run in Japan, but Hogan was really over there for a while.
Yeah, he was. I was there with Andre. I forget the last year I was there. Bill Easy was still the mass superstar. Dave Yohannes, but I forget. I don't remember if that's before or after he got the strap. I think it's before, because Andre was on the tour. I remember they wanted Mr. something, whatever, I forget the Japanese guy's name, but he told Hogan, don't sell for the Giant. And they were creating waves, and somehow the Giant got a hold of that. And it was a little, little underground, little murmuring. I'm just going to work as usual. I'm not going out there. And it was smart too, I wasn't going to sit the Giant. Giant was still young too. Wasn't as crippled as he could game. But yeah, I forget if that's before or after he got the strap. He's the superstar. Tony Atlas. It was a pretty good tour. Oh God, remember all the guys, what it was.
Someone's asking if you have any memories of working with him on the same team in Survivor Series '87, the original Survivor Series.
Oh yeah, well, those were pretty dynamic show. There's like they're basically 8-man tags or 10-man tags. So it wasn't. It's not like which we had a lot of stuff together. I mean, it was just it was pretty fast moving. So yeah, we didn't have a lot. And I was that's what by the time I just become a baby face. I had my turquoise blues on.
Who do you think they would have used if it wasn't for Hogan getting that monster push? Do you think it would have been Slaughter? Do you think it would have been Dusty Rhodes? Is there anyone that could have done comparably well for Vince at the time with the push that he was given to get the company to a national level?
Well, you're working with Vince too. Hogan made such a great picture. The in shape, big, the blonde, all the. Hogan was were there guys? I mean, he wasn't the world's greatest worker. He was a hell of a worker, but he wasn't. Well, none of those guys. Oh, jeez. I don't know. I don't know if anybody would have been. Sure, somebody could have been. Snuka maybe, but nobody. They weren't as. Well, he wasn't. He was. He wasn't smart. Hulk was a smart man. He wasn't stupid. Right. All that business and all the stuff he did over the years.
So,
how long was he in there? From
84 to he left around 93. And then he had that WCW run as a heel.
So he was still making big bucks.
Yeah. Then they brought him back in around 2002 for a couple of years. And then I think Piper had a falling out around then. Yeah. I don't know what happened. I don't know if Piper ever told you what happened there, but there was some big falling out with Piper, Hogan, and McMahon around that time, 2003-ish.
No. I never, no. I don't know what happened. He had a good 20 years.
Yeah.
That's, that's just wrestling. Doesn't have anything to do with all the other businesses and stuff he was hooked up with. Movies and TV and, whatever, commercials.
Yeah, and the reality show. I mean, that got him over. I don't know how much he made for that, but he was over at that time.
Yeah, all that's, So, I mean, it's not only his wrestling, although, it was extraordinary, Well, internet worldwide. He could, he probably could have gone to Europe. Did he do Europe when they opened Europe up?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how the business is in Europe these days, but yeah, I know WWE still goes there, and AEW goes there once in a while, but it never really became a territory again on its own. But
well, we drew. We did big business when So just just that alone, assuming it was Hulk Hogan going there, it'd be would naturally turn out to be phenomenal. Especially it's a one-time deal. A rarity, and here comes Hulk Hogan. Instead of just here comes when he is the WWF and Hulk Hogan, WWE. So it's he make a big difference no matter what.
Do you think it's changed for the better or changed for the worse since since him and McMahon kind of made it mainstream, and then it's kind of changed to corporate now. Because I know if you're on top now or you're in the major leagues, you can make really good money, but there's so many fewer places to work now. And even WWE and AEW don't do house shows anymore. They're just doing big show the TV tapings and pay-per-views. So I don't know if overall it's as popular
See,
now as
I
it
know,
used to.
I know completely. You should pretend to know, but I have no idea, no hand on any of that.
Right.
You know, geez, maybe the last 25, 25 plus years. I don't, I have a clue, but I'm not really dialed into anything financially or, thought process or mentally or whatever's going down with the guys. It's a different, it's a whole different, it's really a different ball game.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, these guys,
And the
there's so
type,
many guys that are great athletes now
yeah,
that are, but somehow they've lost it. It's changed. It's turned into more of a, 2025 thing than it was the 1980s deal. So I don't know. But then they're still doing that type of business. And there's a lot of, from where I see on Facebook and stuff, there's lots and lots of independents. I mean, there's nothing else but WWF, but there seems to be a lot of independent stuff going down. Whether you can make any money there or have any type of consistency, I don't know. There's AEW and is that TNA?
yeah. TNA is pretty much a farm system now for WWE.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, but they're
So it's only AEW?
yeah, because
Well, Ring of Honor.
TNA they do I think 2 tapings a month, and that's about it. So you get you're under contract,
Also,
but
they don't work towns either.
no. And Ring of Honor is part of AEW. But if you're under Ring of Honor or AEW contract, you're making a lot, even though you're not wrestling that much. So that's
Yeah, I
good
heard
if you have it.
Jerry Briscoe ran some figures off. They were astounding.
Yeah.
I never had to deal with, unfortunately. Shit.
And just the last thing, they put out a new Netflix show that came out yesterday, showing the backstage how matches are
Yeah.
totally. I don't know if you saw any of that, but there's a lot of hugging and like clapping for people after their matches, and the gorilla position is now a big. I think back when in your day it was just basically a table, right, where they would just tell you to go out, but now it's like
Yeah.
they totally choreograph your match and they're giving the referee instructions on the earpiece. It's not like that. It wasn't like that when you were back there, was it? And it wasn't the although you guys were friends. I mean, you guys aren't going around hugging each other and clapping for each other.
Yeah, no, yeah. It wasn't. It was still happens, Well, it was still full on kayfabe, really.
Yeah.
When I was still there. Then it changed about a couple of years after I was gone. No more than 3 or 4 years. Then Vince came out, got rid of all the commissions and stuff. So.
Did Hogan take kayfabe important? Because Lex Luger tells the story that Hogan threatened him once when Lex smirked at him during a stare down. When they knew that the cameras were off, and Hogan said, "If you smirk at me again, I'm going to smack you." I know he wouldn't have said that to you, but did he take the kayfabe with you serious? Like, if you guys were outside and in the same area, you guys would not acknowledge each other, I would imagine.
Yeah, no. No, yeah. Didn't do a shake. You son of a bitch, mother. No, nobody did. That is just, like I wasn't there, he wasn't there. Make a point to be, it's like your ex-girlfriend or something, or
Yeah.
you don't want to get busted, stay away from it. No hassles. It was, it's just, no hugging, kissing, or handshake. Not even a handshake. Just, I see you, there you are, one corner of the lobby, and I'm on the other corner of the lobby. I'll stay, till you're out of there or I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to crowd you. You're not going to crowd me. That's just the way it was,
Do you think it still matters though? Because I know, like, to me, maybe it's just because I was a fan back when you were doing it, but like, it's hard for me to suspend disbelief when I'm watching a match if it's just thrown in my face that everybody is friends. Like, I'd rather at least have some mystery about it to be able to watch it with entertainment value.
I don't know, because I think nobody sells anymore. So, look, I do, I kick the shit out of you kick the shit out of me, and we're both up, you're up, I'm up, you're up,
Yeah.
down, I'm up, you're down. We just keep rolling.
I saw a pile driver off the top rope not too long ago, and the guy, that wasn't the finish. Did you see that?
It blows my mind.
Yeah.
I look at these guys, and the power bomber drops the guy in the back of his head, and all these other. Mickey Doyle sends me all these clips, and I send Jerry Briscoe and stuff like that. That guy standing up in the rafters that coming off a guy on a table, it's like 30 feet, at least 30 feet below. I mean, high up in the rafters, comes up there, and he misses the whole table. Boom, right on the floor. It's just knocking the shit up. And the women too. And then all the fluorescent lights, fluorescent bulbs. And stuff.
Oh yeah.
We beat the shit out of each other with fluorescent lamps and stuff. So I don't know. Is kayfabe important when you're, and these guys are, just I don't know what they expect to look like. I mean, most of us made it 60, 70. These guys are going to be, hobbling by the time they're 45. Like what you call Mickey Mankind.
Yeah.
Cactus Jack. I mean, he took liberties with his body. There was no need for it. Back in my day, there's no need for it. There were guys who would go and milk if old timers, guys, and I was a young kid, old Rocky Montero and some of those guys. Like if you touched them before 5 minutes, they would flip out. They'd spend the whole time begging up, go to walk off and beg up. The whole you kind of, but those remember that was them. What are you gonna do? You're a kid. I'm a kid. Not gonna be stupid. Press an issue with all that. It's got going. I don't know. So yeah, maybe by not selling is a good reason why they can go around kissing and hugging each other all the time. I suppose. That's one guess.
Yeah, and then sometimes they'll make, and we won't go into this too much, but then they'll have a guy like CM Punk recently. He has to sell going through a table for 14 minutes, and we're supposed to believe he's just lying there after people are getting up from those top rope pile drivers. So it's like it does. There's no consistency with it. So
yeah, but it's just a case of shooting yourself in your own foot.
Yeah.
Well, gee. I saw one. They're both dressed. The two tag teams are both dressed alike, and it was such a well done spot, bing, kick, flip over the ropes, flip over. It was just a beautiful, choreographed, about a 45-second minute routine off the top. But it was so coordinated. I mean, it was like a Vegas show. There's no heat there. Half a dozen super kicks, and down, and you're up, and you're doing this, and these big double suplexes, and off the tops, and all in 45, 45, less than a minute. Bang, 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 boom, boom. A week's worth of high spots done in a minute, gone.
Yeah.
And they're still not near the finish. But I like the well, Mickey says movies. It's just well, kind of blows your way. But that's that's what's going on. It's like movies and stuff. Hard to find something that's well written.
That is true.
And can surprise you or entertain you. But sometimes when the guys get in there and they sit down, they just take their time, they can build, and they do. Guys, guys that are good enough workers, they build it to a pitch where you got to come back to. You got you got the crowd in your hand. They do a Dory Funk Jr. taking it from the bottom of the bottom stair to the top. Step by step. Yeah.
There's a fan on here that says they want to compliment you on your Moondog main feud and the Arkansas change match that you had with him for the belt. And he says that was a great angle. And did you have any memories of Blackjack Mulligan? Do you remember that?
I never got that. Barry. I worked with Barry Windham a lot when Barry was first coming up. I did a bunch of stuff with Barry. I did that. I think I told you about getting the chair from the back.
Yeah.
And that being one of the weirdest things I ever had. You're gonna get a chair, but you don't know when to flinch or what to do. You know it's coming, but you're not doing that whole thing. See, I worked a big long program with Barry. That was Blackjack, and then with Moondog Dane, he was super. Hey boy, he was a great guy, great worker, great guy, good slam. He and Fuji were good slams. He was from up in, I think he's from Utah. It was big Portland. He started that Portland territory.
Didn't he die in Portland from a car accident or something?
L.A.
Oh, he died in the L.A. tour. Okay.
Yeah, it was in L.A. He just started drinking, and that was his. He had a hard time. Well, that was his downfall. I don't know what happened. I guess like he either work with Pedro or work with Bruno in the garden for the 3 shots, and he ended up just doing like 1 or 2. Now he didn't get the. I'm surprised, because he was a great worker, one super bump taker. He did the Mickey the bumps, Mankind, Cactus Jack bumps, Big Foley. Before, Big Foley off the top, turnbuckle to the floor, and stuff like that. Stuff you're doing now. This is what, 60, 50 years, 50 years ago?
Yeah.
He was a hell of a hand.
Well, I really appreciate you checking in with us, and I'm glad you're all right, and that you gave us your opinion on Hogan there, because a lot of fans were wondering.
he was, he lived a good life. He was, I would think, seemed to me that he lived a good life. I would hope.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, he lived.
Hope
People are
he's
going to
happy.
always remember him, and he did stuff more in one lifetime at 71 than a lot of us will ever
Yeah.
do. So,
Yeah. All right, brother. Good talking to you, man. I'll let you go.
thank you, my man.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha. Talk to you later.
Well with you.
Have a
Okay,
great
bye.
night, sir.